Hello everyone and welcome back to Painting with Martin. Today we're back with another Bolt Action series, and today it's time to actually paint the M4A38 Sherman Easy 8 from Warlord Games. And as you can see already, I've had the box over here, and this is what this beauty actually looks like. Now I've actually taken the opportunity to prime this tank beforehand, and I've used a primer called Surface Primer German Grey from Vallejo, so it's already primed. And I've also taken a first step to also put on the first base coat, which I'm using a color called from Vallejo called Brown Violet, or also called Olive Drab, depending on how old your paints actually are. So that's the first base coat of the paint. Looks like this. Also the bottom side here, and of course I've got some stuff underneath here that I'm just going to take out. Just some dirt. It happens when you're a mess like me. You can also see that you can turn around the turret very easily like this. The scale is 28mm or 156 scale model. It's a harder plastic model, and it's really nice, really beautiful to paint. So what you can do first of all, if you're starting out and if you've already primed it like I did before, you can put on the 2 thin coats of brown violet using a very large brush, such as an oil brush such as this one, and then you are ready to go. And I'm just going to adjust my camera here so we can actually get a good look, and we won't actually see the box behind us. So I'm going to sit down over here, and we've got our paint pot over here as well. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to separate the turret from the hull of the tank. We just turn the turret until it clicks out, and it goes like this. This is also the color of what the tank plastic actually looks like as well. So this kind of grey model, grey plastic. And if you followed my last video, you can actually see that I put 2 coins inside here just to give it a little bit of weight, but that is entirely optional. You don't have to do that. It's actually quite heavy model as it is. So I'm also going to separate, why I'm choosing to separate the turret from the hull is that sometimes there's a little bit of difference in color variation when you paint the turret ring here. And also, so you actually get a nice smooth finish regardless of what you have. I've also chosen to take the liberty to prime the commander of the tank here. Model on Brad Pitt from Fury. I don't know if you can see that. Oh, it's quite hard to see. But I've primed this one using a light primer called Surface Primer Grey from Vallejo. Really, really nice one. With primers, I do have to say, leave them for 24 hours, minimum 12 hours, to let the primer to actually do its job. So with this one said, and we're going to start with actually a small dry brush. And unusually, and what we're going to do is we're going to take some Khaki. You can also use, if you don't have that, Iraquian Sand from Vallejo. Either way, so give it a good shake. Put it out on your palette like this. If you have a wet palette as well, it's perfectly fine as well. And use a fairly large brush such as this one. This is actually a specifically dry. This is an actual brush used for dry brushing. So put it like this, wipe out most of the paint of the brush, leaving almost nothing on the paint. It's a very light dry brush. And you're going to go over all the raised areas of the tank, kind of like a large stiffling motion. I'm going to remove this one, it's shaking a little bit too much. I'm just throwing it away. And this is to give all the edges here some definition. Don't forget the road wheels as well. Can be quite vigorous with this one, as well as turning it around. And this is going to make them stand out when we do the wash, because we, as always, we paint the tank in 3 easy stages: a base coat, which I already applied, save some time, and as well a wash, and then some highlight and finishing touches. You could actually do this in the end as well. I'm going to do another little bit, put more paint on my brush and wipe it most of it away. Don't forget the front as well as the rear here. And when we've done that, we're going to go over to our turret as well and do the same thing. Now, it might be a good idea to put on a little bit more paint on the brush. And you only want the raised areas here to really make it stand out. Turret hatches and other hatches as well. Don't be too vigorous when you're painting over the machine gun here, because it might break. It's a little bit delicate. Same thing with these radio antennas as well. And if you missed an area, just go over it again. Something like this. Okay. Now when that stage is done, we're going to go over and painting parts of the tracks. And for that color, I'm using a color from Vallejo, also called chocolate brown. Give it a good shake, and then apply it as it is. You don't have to thin it. And you only want to cover the sides here. Simulate some kind of mud effect, which we might add later as well. Most important is that you get the side track, the tracks under, not the tracks up here. You can do that if you want to. Which I will do now. As you can see here, the tracks here were a little bit tricky to assemble. I missed a few parts here because I'm not very good at assembling a tank. But I'm sure you will do much better than I did. And when you're working with super glue, it's like you can't really make that many mistakes as well. Now, just going to go around here, painting the other side here as well. All right. Now, since we can already also apply some paint here on the items here, such as the wood items. Which is part of almost the highlight, but I want to get this one done before we apply the wash. Something like this, and don't forget the top side. Also, I want to say a big thank you to Warlord Games for giving me this model to paint during Essen Spiel last year. And for those of you who are waiting for a really cool convention, which unfortunately I haven't been to yet, UK Games Expo is coming up next. And not sure if Warlord Games is going to be there. I hope they will, but if they are, go and pay them a visit, and you can pick up one of these models directly at the fair as well. It takes place in Birmingham on the 31st of May, so it's really close, really soon. And its focus is of course buying, trying and playing games, and they're open quite late as well in the evening, until I think 10 or 11. So really nice fair that I plan to go to one day. Once you apply this one, you can also apply this color to the wooden parts, such as, for example, the spade handle here. As well as anything else that you think is made out of wood, which is perfectly fine right now. Something like this. Okay. Now I'm going to say this as well, that since I only have one model of this, and I don't want to leave too much time for you to like wait until the paint dries. It's not that fun. I'm going to paint this one in between when this commander, in between while this one is drying from the wash. With this one said, I'm going to apply some paint on the tracks here, as well as any metal parts that we need to cover as well. And for that one, I'm using a color called German Grey. German Grey is simply because it's not too black, and I'm applying it neat. You can choose to apply it a little bit diluted if you want to. And as you can see here, I missed part when I actually painted the base coat here. So this is an opportunity to cover it again. It's not that much of it's a very subtle current variation here, but it gives a little bit better than just the regular plastic or the regular from the primer. So putting it on this part of the track, because these were made from rubber. You can use a fairly large brush for this one as well. And it's a really fun model to paint, by the way. So if you haven't really painted anything before, this is a really good model to start with, especially if you want to get into wargaming. And if you have got another Sherman from, say, another company or another game, such as like Company of Heroes, or even an old game such as like Memoir 44, which is like a very light war game, you can use the same techniques as I'm using here and paint the Sherman for this one. And after we've painted the track links here, and leave them to dry a little bit, and going to turn it around so you can see that you don't miss any parts, such as these parts in here and this part over here. Don't forget to go in between here if you can, and turn it around. You can see over here that we don't miss any parts. Now, one thing that is optional is that you can paint these road wheels here black as well, or German grey. It's completely optional. I'm going to show you how it's done here, and so it can be a little bit tricky to get it right, but it really brings out the model in a different light, if you ask me, so to say. So these road wheels were made either from rubber, but you can actually leave them with brown violet as well if you like. I like to paint them because it kind of brings out the model a little bit more, I think. And same color, German grey. And I'm using German grey neat here to make sure that it's not too diluted. And turning it around. Also gives the other areas that we painted previously a little bit time to dry as well. Almost done with the road wheels. Or whatever you call them. If you think I make a mistake here as well, please let me know in the comments below. It really helps me learn from my own videos, because I'm not an expert here. I'm just an amateur trying to paint a little bit on the side and having some fun in between. And whilst you're at it, if you are new to the channel, I really would like you to subscribe to the channel, because it helped me grow, and it's because of you guys I'm doing this, because it's so fun. But if you are a subscriber already, I really appreciate you for subscribing to the channel. So thank you so much to all of you. Also going to paint some metal items over here, part of the tool handles and so on as well. Such as the axe here. I don't know what this is. Some kind of metal bar. Don't forget the spade here as well. As well as the machine gun up over here as well. See if I can turn it over to you so you can see. Machine gun. You can paint the cables as well if you want to. I'm choosing not to. Then putting it around, putting a bit, and then also going to paint the machine gun over here for the 12.5mm machine gun, or 50 cal if you're American. Turning it around so you get a good angle. And always turn around, make sure you get every angle possible. You can even angle it like this, that I'm doing here. And while you're at it as well, you should also paint the radio antennas in this color as well, German grey. All right, going to put this one down for a moment, clean my brush, and of course close the cork of the German grey. If I'm going to turn it around and see if I've missed any parts, and I see that I did miss a small part here with the chocolate brown, which is the upper part of the wooden logs here. As well as over here, as well as small axe handle over here on this side. Where was it? Well, I think it was over here. There we go. Now it's not entirely dry yet. But it looks quite a little bit better than before. So while we're still at it, we are going to turn our attention to this little dude. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to paint his tanker jacket. And the tanker jacket, I had to do some research about this, and the closest one I could find was Vallejo's Khaki. So I'm going to put this one on my palette, just like we did on the dry brush before. And we're going to apply it over the entire tanker jacket as well. Using a fairly small brush for this, and I'm using it neat, but you can, if you want to, use a little bit diluted version. I really think that having a beautifully or fairly beautifully painted model, like a commander here really makes the model pop. I'm not very good at painting faces, I have to say this, and I've said it before. Let's see if I can bring it up to you so you can see. But I'll try my best for this one. A little bit tricky to handle it like this, but if you have some kind of paint handle or an old cork or something like that, you can put some blue tack on it. That's perfectly fine as well. Making sure you got every angle here of him. Choosing to paint the face last because then I can hold this one a little bit in a better way. I'm going to put him down over here to dry. I'm going to see if he stands. Oh, he does. Great. Then what we're going to do is we're going to apply our first wash stage, and then what we're going to do with that is that we are going to apply a sepia wash for this model, and we're going to do it quite sparingly. You can soak the whole model if you want to, it's perfectly fine, and give it a good shake first. But for a sepia wash, and for it to dry a little bit better, I've taken an old cloth piece that I have over here, and I'm going to wipe it off to create a little bit more streaking effect for it. So, but I will try to cover all the parts that are not. I'm not going to cover the track links over here, but I will try to cover everything else. And I'm going to start with the main hull here. So I'm using a fairly large brush for this, and then I'm going to apply it immediately over the areas. Giving it some shadow and definition. You want it to pool in the recesses, not on the flat surface areas, but you also don't want it to go down and drop in here into the interior of the tank as well. Make sure you cover the wooden log part here as well. You can use something like Agric's Earth Shade for this as well. That's also fine. I'm putting in a little bit more sepia wash for this one. It's a fairly large model. Stowage items I'm going to cover in the highlight stage. Make sure that it gets into this air cooling filter as well as the hatch on the back as well. I didn't dry brush underneath here because that's really not what you see on the tank, and you can leave it as it is as well. But the front here you should cover with a wash. Don't forget all the undersides as well. Now, before we go into the track parts, this is what I'm going to show you here. So you can move it around a little bit more. Helps with the drying process. You want it to cover the surface areas. That's what you to cover this off. And you apply it on what I do here. And the turret ring as well. Make sure that the tank won't really stuck when you apply it. Then, when this one is fairly done, I'm going to do the same thing for the track links, for the tracks and the wheels and so on as well. Here you really want it to pool inside. So it may take some while to dry, but when it's fully dry, then you can go on straight to the highlight stage. And it kind of like gives it a brownish, gritty look. If you want the Sherman to have a greener look instead, don't use brown violet, but you can use something called Nurgling green from Citadel as well, or another kind of brownish look from Vallejo. Really, I'm using an old brush for this. I'm really kind of like pushing this thing in, and I'm turning it around as well to make sure that I can cover the road wheels on the other side here as well. Not really necessary, but that's what I do it. I'm going to put this one down on the side over here. I'm going to do the same thing for the turret. 76mm cannon. And I'm taking care not to paint the gun and the radio mast here. I may switch to a smaller brush just for this purpose. Don't forget the turret hatches. Turret hatches can be, you have several options here. You can either choose to have some of them closed or some of them open as I have here. The main commander hatch has to be open if you want to have the commander in place, but the other hatch here doesn't have to be. And I'm just going to put some more some more shade in between here with a smaller brush, so make sure that everything is covered. Same thing here. I take an old brush and I'm doing moving it down to make sure that it can simulate some kind of rain effect here. Of course, this is entirely optional if you want. And the top surface can be a little bit tricky to reach here in between. You don't want to snap off the gun. I did that once. Another model. That was unfortunate. I had to use some super glue and a lot of creativity and curses while fixing my mistakes. Something like this is what it looks like. This is a turret hatch that I glued before. Just want to make sure I always added the stowage item. The stowage items are entirely optional. You can paint, leave the tank without anything if you like. Very clean look, just like it came out of the factory. But I want a little bit more weathered look from when I put my tanks out to battle. So that's why I add some stowage items. I'm going to add things here. Yeah, looking quite okay. I'm going to add this one here, and now I'm going to return to the almost dried. Oh, he had a little bit of a ball guy here almost. His tacker jacket. Now I'm going to apply. We're going to start with the face, and for the face, I'm going to use a Citadel color called Cadian Fleshtone. You can also use Vallejo's Flat Flesh, or if you have a speed paint such as Crusader Skin from Armored Painter, that's perfectly fine as well. I'm using Cadian Fleshtone for this one. If you want an even better look, you can start with applying some Bugman's Glow, and then I'm applying this neat, and then some Cadian Fleshtone mixed in with this one. But I'm going to start with this one, starting with the hands, making sure that I have the right and correct amount of paint on my brush. Making sure, I'll move it up here so you can see a little bit better. Making sure that I cover all the parts of the hand. And I know if I haven't, because the primer, because it's white, will otherwise shine through. And that's why I also primed it in white instead of in black, because otherwise it can be difficult to apply the skin colors with it. Applying like this. He has a kind of like a mohawk, if you've seen the Fury the movie, or kind of like a back slick hair with it. So don't be too confused when you're painting, so you don't paint the entire head with the skin color. I'm going to put a little bit more, oops, doesn't want to stay open. Something like this. Don't forget his neck. Inside the fingers can be a little bit tricky to reach. With a bit of practice you get the hang of it. Looking much better already. You're probably wondering, what about his hair and trousers? Now trousers is going to be covered by the tank, but just for the sake of it, I'm going to show you how to paint it. I'm going to use the same color here called chocolate brown for the for his trousers. You can also use a color called German Camera Medium Brown for this. Give it a slightly more variation. And we will return to the khaki in case we missed some spots, because we did that here and underneath here. Okay. If you're missing spots, especially on the lower end of the model, it's not a big deal. You will be able to fix it. For the kind of like where the wrists go, you can apply some brown violet, and also his collar as well next to the neck. Gives it a tiny tonal variation. Also his patches, where you will actually apply the decal afterwards. I will not apply the decal on this in this video, because there will be a separate video for that. So that's how I wanted to have it done, show you exactly how it's done. But I just want to show you that there will be these decals here. And I'm going to show you the decals just so you will see what actually comes with the box. And where did you put them? Oh, there you go. So you can see here, these are the decals. You can see here the insignias for his rank, as well as his armored unit over there. Otherwise, you would apply the stars over here next to the turrets, as well as you can apply anything else you want. I'm most likely going to apply this Fury here on the turret as well, which is kind of nice and cool. And now, with that said, we're almost looking that it's getting nice and dry here. It's not entirely ready, but you can see that it's quite nice. So what we can do already, we can start preparing. Oh yeah, what we can before we apply some highlights and finishing touches, we can start looking at his hair. And his hair I'm gonna use something called Flat Earth for his hair from Vallejo, and it's a little bit lighter brown because I don't want everything to be just dark brown or chocolate brown. Using a very small and very thin brush, such as a size 0, will be useful. Using it quite neat. You can also paint in blonde if you want, if you like Brad Pitt blonde instead. If you want to, you can also apply a wash for his face. Or to give it a little bit more definition, and really depending on how you like it, you can actually do that for his hands as well, of course. I'm going to leave him here to dry just for a moment, and I'm going to return to some stowage items on the tank, such as these kind of like bags over here, as well as on the turret. I'm going to use some khaki for this one as well. You can use German grey. No, not German grey. German light grey for this one. But khaki will be quite nice as well. I'm going to show you how. I'm going to return to this brush, leaving the tank over here. Hopefully you can see, because it's quite a bit wet still from this one here, khaki. All of these were made in natural materials back in the day. There were hardly any synthetics. Going to turn it up here so you can see. You can apply a wash to this one afterwards, basically, if you want. Now they stand out quite well. And for the other one here, I want to have a little bit more of a different color variation. I'm going to use some flat earth for this one. All right. And for some flat earth, I can also use it to highlight the wooden items on the tank, such as the wooden handle of the spade, or the shovel, as well as the axe handle here. And you can also use it to pick out the edges of the logs here, leaving the shadow in between, as well as also some of the chocolate brown in between as well, as shading in the recesses. 1 to 2 thin coats of this one will be more than enough. It blends in quite well. As you can see, and you can turn it around here. looking much better already. Now, for as you can see here, it's pooling quite well on the surface here as well. If you think that it's not drying fast enough, you can of course apply a little bit more of the dabbing here, or you can just leave it to dry. I'm a bit impatient here, so I'm leaving it here, cleaning it up a little bit. Now, it's looking quite okay already, but for the machine gun and also for all the metal parts, I'm going to use now some natural steel from Vallejo, giving it a good shake and applying it kind of as an edge highlight on all the metal parts. You can also use it as a dry brush. I'll show you what a dry brush will mean. A heavy dry brush means something like this. Or you can point out individual details as well as you see fit. Same thing for these antennas. I want to put a little bit more metal on them. It's a very subtle look. And same thing for the machine gun. As well as the handles of the, not handles, but the blades of the spade, the saw, as well as the axe, as well as these kind of like large metal bars here. You can use the same thing for some of the items over here. As well as the steel cable, like a tow cable here as well. So you can see how I've closed the hatches here, but you can leave these driver hatches open as you see fit. Now for the jerry cans here, I'm applying a base coat, a back to the base coat of brown violet here as well. That we had, we already have that. And here I want to make sure I touch the raised areas only. Such as this. Now, when the tank is almost entirely dry, it's not entirely dry yet, but it's almost dry. I'm going to apply a very, very thin dry brush with Iraquian Sand, we had talked about before. Using the same dry brush, putting it in over here. You can also use Tyrant Skull from Vallejo, from Citadel as well, also perfectly fine. And here I just want to very, very, a little bit too much. Pick out some of the details I want to be brighter, such as all the raised areas. Still a little bit too much. And if you think that it went too far, you can apply the same wash again. Just the raised areas here to give it a dusty, weathered look. Now it's better. And do the same thing for the turret. You can be a bit more liberal. Okay. Can do that on this as well. Be careful not, of course, to touch the machine gun. Looking quite okay. Oops. Put in this corks on, make sure nothing spills. That would be not so nice. And he looks quite okay. So once you've done with him, you feel like you're done with him, what you can do here is you can put some super glue and you can actually attach him to the turret. As you can see here, some of the paint chipped off. That can actually happen. But I have a super glue pen over here. Using one of these. It's really nice. It's a Loctite brand. One of my favorites because it has kind of like a pen effect. So you can just squeeze here and out comes a small drop. You don't need much. And you actually put them in here. And it hardens very quickly. Alright, as you can see here, it looks much better. So by now we can also start attaching the turret. What you do here is you see this little thing here, and you see these parts, they go into each other. So you start there. Hopefully that will go in smoothly this time. Sometimes after you apply the paint, it can a bit tricky to actually get it going, but there you go. As you can see here, looking quite okay. Nice smooth look. What we have left, I just want to show you it. We do have something left which I forgot. We're going to put the turret ring back again. And we do actually have to apply some, something got caked here. Have to apply a small light dry brush of the of some natural steel on the track links, which we have over here. And here you can just mark out individual ones if you like. I like to put it on the edge here. It's a very small, subtle one. Spread it out with some thumbs, like this. That was my watch. And if you want more like mud and chipping effects, battle damage, see my weathering video that I have for that, which is, you can take a look at that and see what you want to put on, mud effects, rust effects, so on and so forth. You can, however, put on some caked mud using Stirland Mud from Citadel Colors. It's a very technical paint. And what you do here, you can take an old brush, a very big brush, or not such a huge brush. Well, use this huge brush in the meantime. We'll take an old brush, such as this one. And what you do here, you cake it inside here over all the, even if the wash hasn't dried. And it kind of like has lots and lots of mud here. If you want to factory clean, don't worry about it. Then you just leave it. You can turn it around. You cake the mud in over the road wheels as well if you want to. And you can use this as well with a light dry brush to put it up here on these, covering over the steel, which I probably shouldn't have done, where the wheels are as dirty as possible. As well as over here. And smudge it out with your fingers. And as well as you can use this here as well, wherever there's been some kind of like mud coming up from the soft earth you've been driving on, smudge it over. You're looking quite battle damage. Final detail, some small final details, is that we're going to apply some beige brown to some of the like straps here. You can use red leather as well if you like. That's also fine. This one here, as well as on this one. You can also add this one to Brad Pitt's hair if you like. Sorry, I'm not paid by Brad Pitt, by the way, or anything relating to Fury. Just have to say that I'm just a hobby painter, but it is has Fury here on it, so maybe something is from the movie. And if you like these tanks, please check out the link in the description box, where you can also find all the paints I used for this model, where you can see Warlord Games' full range of products in the description box, that is. Smudging out this a little bit more. Now, tank is looking quite good. I'm going to now put it back here. Nice. The good thing with this turret here is that the Sherman hull is pretty much the same of all Shermans, as far as I know. And the thing is, if you like, say for example, the Sherman Firefly instead, you can just pop it out and replace it and use the same hull. And that's a system I really like in wargaming. I wish more wargames did that. But otherwise, this looks quite okay. And as you can see, for more weathering effects, please see there's a video for that as well that I did before. Now, I want to show you as well, this is French infantry that I painted before. You can also see that on my channel. This is a French infantry guy, and we'll see the scale here. This is the scale. So hopefully you see this. This is the tank. This is the infantry. So you can see here, it's not a huge scale, but I just want to show you this so you can understand that if you paint infantry and have infantry in the game, this is what they look like. Of course, they can have machine guns and mortars and stuff like that as well, but this is what they look like as well. They're not the same size as this guy, so just for you to understand that. Otherwise, this is this video. If you enjoyed this video, as I said before, I really appreciate a thumbs up and some comments perhaps. And if you like my channel and want to learn more how to paint, please consider subscribing. Otherwise, thank you very much again to Warlord Games, and I'll see you next time.